Question 5. The children at Farmfield School are collecting money for charity. Their target is to collect 360. So in other words, the total that they want to receive is 360. But so far, they've collected £57.73. How much more money do they need to reach their target? So in other words, how much more money do they need to reach their total? Because don't forget, the word target is just another word for the total that they're trying to get to. So what we need to do here is find the difference between 360 and £57.73. And any time you find the difference between two numbers, you are basically subtracting the smaller one away from the larger one. Okay, or another way of saying that is start with the larger one and subtract the smaller one. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 360 subtract £57.73. Now it's really important to get our column headings right here. So 360, and then underneath 57 would go in those columns like that, and then 0.73. Now obviously we've got a bit of a gap here. So what we can do is we can put an extra decimal point after the 360, because 360 is the same as 360.00. And now we've turned it into a sum where everything's nicely lined up. Those extra zeros just fill in the empty spaces after the £360, because it's really the pence. There's no pence after the £360. So what we've got to do now is start doing our subtract. So obviously we start at this end here. So nothing take away 3 we can't do. So we go to borrow from the next column, but we can't borrow from this 0. So we go to the next column, but we can't borrow from this 0 either. So what we need to do is borrow from this 6, which becomes a 5. And then one we've borrowed turns this 0 into a 10. But now we need to borrow from this 10. So cross out the 10 and it becomes a 9. And the one we've borrowed makes this 0 into a 10. But that's still no good to us because we need something on the final 0 on the end column. So cross out this 10 and that becomes a 9. And the one you borrowed makes the final 0 on the end into a 10. Now that is good to us. Now we can do it. So 10 take away 3 is 7. 9 take away 7 is 2. 9 take away 7 is 2 again. 5 take away 5 is nothing. And here we've got a 3. And because there's nothing underneath, it's like a 0. So 3 take away 0 is 3. So the only thing we need to do now is put our decimal point in. So seeing as the decimal points are here, we just put a decimal point lined up. So there's going to be a decimal point in our answer. So your final answer is going to be £302.27. £302.27.